Do you have any particular advice for how students should prepare for section 1 reading task?
Yeah, the reading task, I know it's a bit of a scary one because it's all like unseen text, never seen them before. So I guess that really comes down to, I think the first thing is knowing your module really well. So knowing what keywords you can draw upon when you're maybe bit out ideas, knowing what they're sort of wanting.
Yeah, that's great. And on that, I'd love to hear how you approach that structurally, because people always ask, how many sentences and how many quotes or bits of evidence do I need for a 3-marker, a 4-marker, or a 5-marker?
So for my 3-marker, I know those ones are really meant to be short. What I like to do is I like to use as many quotes as the mark. So if it's 3 marks, I use at least 3 quotes, just making sure you're basically hitting the number of quotes you need to use and you won't get like marked down because you didn't use enough quotes. But what I like to do is I like to look at the amount of time I had. So for 3 marks, I think the tip my teachers told me was that you double the amount of marks. So that'll be 6 and you add 1 minute. So 7 minutes for 3-mark questions.
You didn't think about it like a sentence approach. Is that what you're saying? You just did it. You just kept writing until that amount of time was up?
Yeah, generally like that. I used the number of quotes I needed. I wrote. Yeah, I think generally getting feedback on that is important. If you find out that, say, you're not writing enough or you're going over the time limit, getting maybe your teacher's feedback to read through it, ask them, is that enough for the 3 to 4 marks?
Yes, great. And did you do a topic sentence, or like did you lead with a conceptual answer to the question, or did you go straight into the first technique and quote?
I usually did the conceptual sentences first. I found that maybe if I just started with the technique, it didn't really like have a nice structure to it in my view. I like to sort of answer the question directly at first. It gives you further direction as well when you're writing the rest of the answer, where you want to go.
And what about, so a 5-marker, did you start doing 2 body paragraphs for a 5-marker?
For like the 5-6 markers, for me it depended on what the question was. Usually if the question talked about 2 of the texts, I'd like to do a mini sort of essay style. So I started with like a mini intro. I introduced both texts a bit and their ideas, and then I did like 1 paragraph of one text and a second paragraph of another text, and if I had time, it was like a mini concluding statement.